Alright guys, how's it going? Gotten a little bit of work done the past couple of weeks. You can see I have the Exorcist completely assembled. Did some putty work and some green stuff work, and still need to go back over and double check, make sure I've got all the little gaps filled. Doesn't look too bad. I'd never used quite so much green stuff or even worked with the plastic putty as much as I did for this thing. If you look, you can see the green stuff between the pipes and the pipe organ there. So there was a lot of daylight coming through those two slots for the two side pieces, and so I just did some snakes of green stuff, and that'll keep the light from shining through, but it won't really be too obnoxious to see. Need to do some filing on the pipes. They've got some places it's the detail, but in other places there's a little bit of flashing or a little bit of a mold line in the pipe, and definitely don't want that. But this thing with the huge metal piece here, the metal pieces all over the front, and then all the pipes on the back, I mean, this thing is heavy. It feels like a tank should. Got the crew compartment fitted up. Ended up using for the pipes and also for the front part of the crew compartment, using a two-part pipe metal epoxy. Basically, it's designed for joining pipes and some other stuff, and still it doesn't fit well, but it fits. There's like a little gap here that I'm going to need to fill, and right here as well. It's just with the metal pieces, as they came out of the molds, they just weren't. They're just a little warped, just from the way that the metal works. So I like this tank. I like it for its classicness, but I will definitely be watching next year when the Plastic Sisters come out, which, you know, Plastic Sisters, when those come out, to see if maybe I need to replace these, or add a third one to my thing. I've already you can see I've already got her on her pin where she'll go, and I've drilled out the hole already in both the Exorcist and the the tank itself, and the bottom of the thingamabob. There we go. So she looks like she's having a grand old time. Ooh, well, that was almost off in the camera. She looks like she's having a grand old time playing the pipe organ. And the servitor, he'll go here in the back. I think I'm gonna orient him this way, where it looks like he's just taken a missile off the rack. He's getting ready to rotate around and put it into the little missile compartment down there. And that way you can see his grotesque face and everything a little better, because the back's just kind of plain and unexciting, whereas his face has got kind of Mr. Skullhead meets Happy Meal ordering drive-through looks. But there's the first Exorcist build. I have another one to build, and we'll honestly see how they work on the battlefield, and I'll get a report back for that. Still need to prime the Imagifier, but I did finish Saint Celestine and her and the two ladies that come with her. Now that I'm trying to think of them, I can't. But yeah, I didn't do a whole lot with their faces. I'm tempted to go back and give them like a little shading around their mouths. I tried picking out the eyes on Celestine, and I did okay with her left eye, but since her right eye is hidden behind a little wave of hair, and I'm left-handed, I really couldn't get the brush back there. No matter how I twisted it, it still, I had to go in and doctor some things up, and still couldn't get it quite on. But she's been washed, she's been ironed, and dried. But yeah, these three models really give me hope for the Plastic Sisters, just so that they might just be glorious. And you know, we'll wait and see, because, you know, the best laid plans, or, you know, good intentions pave the road to hell. There we go. That's the way that one goes. But yeah, and did kind of a black hair with blue and gray highlights for these 3 ladies and liked it so well I may go back and do that for all the girls, but yeah, I'm not going to do that because I'd have to go back and repaint everything. Some of the girls actually have not been painted their hair, and so we'll have to wait and see that. But again, like, the big news is that the Sisters of Battle are coming with plastic, and you know, it's still a year away, 2019, and of course 2019 may mean November 2019, so you know, there's no telling when that's going to actually happen or if they'll be great. I always remember back to right before Fantasy Battle bit the dust that they released an update to the Dwarf Codex, and I played Dwarf, so I ordered the special edition. Was waiting with bated breath for the models that would come out, and the new models that came out were redone redone Longbeards and redone, yeah, I think it was Ironbreakers maybe, or just Dwarf Warriors, and then redone like Super Thunderers, and they redid the Dwarf Copter and something else, and it was just kind of lame. You know, they didn't really add any brand new units that could do anything there. All these monstrous creatures were coming out for all the other factions, and they said, dwarves, all right, dwarves, you get the same stuff. And so I would like to see some new units for the sisters. Some good troop units too would be nice. Oop, and I hear the young lady waking up, and my 8-month-old is waking up now, so we'll have to close this off. But anyway, I'm going to get this primed. I'll probably film it primed again because once with the putty that I did here, I'm just not happy with it. And I'm going to prime it and see what it looks like, and see if I need to sand it down and then fill it in again and then reprime some parts of it. So but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But anyway, hope you guys are having a good time, and I will catch you on the flip side. Adios. Alright guys, some good news and bad news on the priming. First off, most of it came out pretty well, except where I had to fill all these gaps. You know, I slapped these things on at the last minute because the front looked a little rough, and it still looks a little rough right through here. Either I'm going to have to file it, or scrub it down, or scrape it out and reprime it a little bit, or or just let it be and just let it look crappy, which obviously can't do that. The back, kind of the same thing. I thought I had sanded it down smooth, but you can totally see the not smooth at all parts right there. So for this, what I plan on doing is something similar to these things. Just putting, there's some pieces you can put onto these that will almost cover from one side to the other, and that'll cover up a lot of that. I will cut it down to smooth it out, and I'll have to fill out some of this stuff to get that completely filled in. But yeah, that's going to be it's going to be a little bit of work still before I can start painting on these, which will give me time to not only finish that one but also get number 2 built, get it done. I think I'm also going to clean the rest of the image lady, the standard bearer here, basically get her cleaned up, get that ready to go. But the cab, you know, the cab worked out pretty well, and the servitor and the lady who will be playing that, those aren't so bad. Those just need to get painted. But again, like this is so rough here, and so it looks exactly like it is. It looks like putty and green stuff right there. That, you know, I've got to fix it. So that's what I'll be doing probably in the next couple days. And once I get that done and get it reprimed, I'll show it to you. Anyway, hope you guys have a good time. And again, oh man, priming all these little cracks is so fun. So much fun. Anyway, you guys have a good evening, and I'll show you some more later. So, building the second tank and getting it prepped up for the for priming. One thing that it managed to figure out from the first tank, because remember I had all those gaps that were in the armor plates there for the first tank, and managed to reduce there, right in front of me, reduce the amount of gappage in the build by a very simple trick. I'd already done all the, I mean, there's still significant gaps, especially right through here. You can see the deep gap that's there. That's why I filled these in initially. But there's not as much gap between these and the actual armor plates, and that's because I can take it was mostly this part that was keeping it from getting flush. There was some bend in the armor plates, but that could be compensated for by reducing the size of this. And you can see I've already done it some here where I've just sanded. And what I'll do, I'll just take a flat sheet of sandpaper and just rub it. And this is pretty heavy grit sandpaper. It can take your finger pads off if you really want it to. You can see it's already taken some off of that. I'll just shine the light right in your eyes. But and then fit it, see how much closer I've gotten the gap, and then continue sanding. But the biggest thing is to keep this flat, or as flat as you can possibly do so, because it wouldn't do you to file down a corner of the plug here and leave the other 4 or 5 corners up high, because then you just be losing material and losing the sticking point for this. And let's see what grit this is. Doesn't say what grit it is. Or if it does, I don't know how to read the code. But it's heavy grit. It's meant to be sanding. But again, you take all the rivets off the outside, even that little bump sticks out some, and you cut it off with your knife. And if you really want to, you can sand it off with a sanding pad. Use a finer grit for that, so you don't take off too much of the plastic. But yeah, that does it pretty well. Honestly, the absolute best thing to do is wait till a year from now when they release all the Sisters in plastic, and then you'll probably be able to get a plastic Exorcist that looks just as amazing as, say, the Primaris hover tank or whatever. And I'm sure I'll have to buy a whole bunch of more models for that, just because I have more money than sense. Anyway, just showing you that. The next will be of both tanks primed, and then I will begin painting them. All right, we'll see you in the next segment. All right, this will be the last video for the Exorcist build. Just about done. Just need to get. I'm gonna have to. I was trying to just glue this on, but I'm gonna have to drill that out to pin this into the back. And I've got some gap filling to do, and then it's priming and painting for this thing. Still sits pretty well. The biggest plus about this tank is that after next year you won't have to build this tank, because it's just a pain. All the metal pieces, while they were cutting edge 15 years ago, just not so amazing now, when you know that the plastics will be so much easier to build and probably look better, just because it's it's good GW stuff. Anyway, just found out there's going to be a tournament in my area in about 2 months, and so my goal, my own personal goal, is to now get 2,000 points painted for the Sisters, so I can go play with a completely painted army, which for me will be this tank needs to get painted, plus a squad of Sisters that I've got already primed, and then I'm going to have to build and paint the small knight, not the small knight, but the knight paladin, and that'll put me right at 2,000 points. So we'll see if I can get that done. If I can't, then June 15th will roll around and I won't get to play in the tourney. But at the very least, I'll get a lot of headway done on this. I'd originally planned on doing something that was completely not Sisters related after I got to 1,500 points and just learning and playing at 1,500. But it's coming up. It's a goal that I can get to. It's something that I can set my sights on. There we go. So that I can advance my painting as need be and get things done. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Adios.